which is, it's fine. You guys communicate through sex, we communicate through words. And so if you can't communicate with a woman,
I agree.
you're messed up. And then this has, like you said about your job, you can't ask for a raise, or you can't say when you feel something's off, or you just can't use your voice. And it's a feminine trait to not be able to use your voice, right? To be more timid, to be more, that's, beta men. And then it
I
goes hand
agree.
in hand
I agree.
with the women, right, that are now men. So you see, it's always a balancing of polarity. The women become the masculine energy. The men are so weak they can't ask for what they want. They become feminine. It
Yep.
just flops like that. So it's a sad situation.
No, I agree 100%. I think that you're absolutely correct, and I think that a person's inability to be able to communicate effectively with the opposite sex just because they're the opposite sex
Mhm.
is it's literally crippling. Like it's preventing you from having so many opportunities, so many networking opportunities, relationships. Um, it's just crazy. But we live
Yeah,
in an era where you have to put more effort in because things are so easy. It's so easy for you to send a DM. Do you get a lot of DMs like on some like, hey, what's going on? I want to talk to you on some, that type of tip.
I do. Most of them will come, like, I'm very selective. I don't respond. If you're someone like yourself or someone that's like in the work field, of course I do, because I want to work with you,
Hmm.
1,000%. But if a guy messaged me, I have an automated message and I just send it, and it's like, book your session here. And then they're like, oh, I was trying to get time with you. I'm like, and then I just send it again, book your session here. So just take it directly to, like, you know, I did have one guy that he ruined it for everyone though. He reached out to me, and he was like the kind of guy I would have dated. He was an athlete, he was training for the Olympics, super cool guy. And he drove all the way from like out where the Kardashians live, Calabasas. He took me on a great date. I was like, wow, this is like the best first date I'd ever had.
Wait,
Everything
wait,
was
wait,
good.
wait, wait, wait. So he reached out to you and he drove out
Mhm.
to come and meet you and see you. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah,
I'm
we
with you.
had like created rapport. We chatted for a bit. We had FaceTime maybe once or twice. He was very dedicated. He worked a job. But he was very dedicated, obviously, to training for the Olympics. And so we did talk a lot. It was just here and there. And I was doing retreats and traveling, this and that. And he drove up and took me for the best date like I'd ever had. Like, I was just
Okay.
like, wow. I was impressed because he wasn't from the area. He drove so far. He picked out a great restaurant, an activity that wasn't my favorite, but I gave him the points for picking something interactive. It was pool, playing
Okay.
pool. I'm not like, I don't know. It's kind of like a weird thing. But again, I was like, wow, that's great. He picked it out, knew the place. And then we had a good talk. We had a good kiss at the end. They're just super respectful, whatever. And yeah, we had like a great sexual polarity and stuff. He was kind of going through a lot. Like, he had some personal stuff that had come up and he was having to deal with that, some legal stuff. And
Hmm.
he shared that. And then we were supposed to have another date, and he kind of like ghosted me a little bit. Like, it wasn't like, okay, so the date wasn't like set, but it was like Saturday night, let's do something great. Then
Hmm.
I reached out, hey, what time do you want me ready again? And then like I never heard from him. And I was like, wow. And then so I called him on it, because we know how we feel about ghosting.
Hmm.
I'd never been ghosted before. I was like, this guy was like, came from a great background, a great family.
And he went
He
out
had
all of his way to do all of that to come.
driving from Calabasas, had already planned the second date, was like incessantly wanting to see me, even when I was on retreats, checking in with me, not intimidated by what I did, which is so rare in men, because what I do, I get it, it's different. And then and so I let him have it. I was like, listen, this is not cool. I was like, he went to Stanford. I forgot to tell you, he went to freaking Stanford. And if you know, Stanford is
Mm,
a league college on the West Coast,
yeah.
right? So it's like the Browns, Harvard, Yale.
Yep.
That's East Coast.
Yeah.
Stanford is that West
Most of
Coast.
that stuff is out in Boston and Stanford is. Yeah, I got you.
I let him have it. I said, I know they taught you communication skills in Stanford. I said, and I wasn't even mad that, like, if I understood he had a lot going on with the training for Olympics, this was his last shot. Like, if he didn't make it this time, it was like no more, right? He was his
Hmm.
age and stuff. And then this court thing that came up, unfortunately, it was a lot. But that's so understandable. Like,
What did
all
he
you have
say
to
when you called him on it?
he finally responded. And it was this whole thing about what I said. Well, I didn't like. I blocked him on my text, so he responded to me on Instagram, and he said, "I'm really sorry. You're right. I should have texted you. I got overwhelmed with the court and the training and work and everything." And he said, "It's no excuse. Even though we didn't have something planned, it was like, let's do. He should just let me know. Hey, I've got a lot going on in my life right now. Let's pause this. Maybe we pick it up. But at least we were cool." And I really liked him a lot. And I was really bummed that he just didn't
You
communicate
wouldn't
with me
give him
back.
another chance?
I mean, whatever, maybe. Maybe. I'm a forgiving person. I'm super feminine, but yeah, he liked my Mother's Day post. So
Hmm.
yeah, you
That's pretty. That's
know,
pretty.
it's
What?
interesting. But yeah,
What?
so I don't know why he didn't feel comfortable. Like, do I come across scary? Did he feel scared to be like, hey, I can't, I wouldn't have been mad. I would have just been like, man, I'll send you some Reiki. I know you're going through it.
What about You mentioned that a lot of guys are intimidated by what it is that you do for a living.
Yeah. hmm
Why?
I think because I use strong marketing, and I think that scares people because they're like, "Oh, she's doing this," and they think that I'm sleeping with all these guys. Or I know what people want to see. I know what people want to click on. Like I'm not an idiot, so
Yeah, of course.
my marketing's, it's interesting, right? But that's why people click on it. If I sit there and
I mean,
say,
it caught
"Hey,"
my eye immediately.
right. If I sat there and if this is what my content was, hey, and I wear white when I teach Tantra because we're white tantrics. If I said, hey guys, my name's Janelle Gordon, I'm a tantric master. I trained an ashram in Thailand for a year in India. And I'm offering a retreat for you guys. It's going to be 5 days. We're going to pray and meditate for about 10 hours a day. There's going to be the diet will only be buckwheat. We'll be eating buckwheat is the only food we'll be eating in various different forms and drinking water. And there will be no sexual activity or talk of it. But during the end of this 5 days, you're going to get really close to your sexuality in a very spiritual way. And I'd love for you to attend. And that's the content I posted. Nobody's buying on that except for one weird hippie that knows, like, oh, yeah, that sounds great. And freaking meditation. Like, let's go. Like, no one's, so I create content that is stimulating and I know what people want to see. And I just happen to have been around a lot of very attractive looking black men. Like, what's wrong with that? Shoot me. It doesn't, I guarantee you that the people that say, oh, she's fucking all these guys, like, they have no idea. Like,
No,
they
I
have
mean, listen, you know what people want to see, and that is literally what marketing is.